Congressmember Moskowitz, you're live right now on the MeidasTouch network. This is part of our continuing live coverage where we were able to break the news that Donald Trump was convicted on all 34 felony counts arising out of the criminal trial. Would love to get your first reaction to it.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for having me. Look, I think you can have mutually exclusive reactions. I think the first reaction is no one really, I think, should be taking joy in the fact that a former president has just been was indicted and then found guilty, right? I mean, this is the first time in American history we have a former president found guilty. So it's not a good day for America. That being said, the other part I said, it doesn't have to be mutually exclusive, is that if you believe in the rule of law and you believe in the American justice system, and you believe in the fact that the way we find people innocent or guilty or by a jury of our peers in our country, then at the end of the day, you have to respect the will of the jury. And that is, they found him guilty. It wasn't the judge that found him guilty. It wasn't a political opponent who found him guilty. It was jurors, 12 jurors who sat there and listened day in and day out, and looked at the evidence, asked for some of that to be sent to the jury room as they deliberated. Took 2 days, wasn't a snap decision, and unanimously determined that he was guilty of the charges. So, that's my first reaction. Ben, I'm a glass half full guy. And so I guess if there's one silver lining for the former president, is he no longer has to deal with the trauma of that courtroom of it being too cold for him. He doesn't have to be there anymore. So he doesn't have to deal with that. He doesn't have to wear his sweater anymore. So he'd been complaining it was chilly, and now the trauma of that is over for the former president.
I want to show you this. Marjorie Taylor Greene and other MAGA Republicans are posting things like this: an upside down flag, one of the symbols of the insurrectionists. And of course, we know the story about Justice Alito blaming his wife for hanging that upside down flag that we saw at the insurrection. You also have MAGA Republicans like Mike Collins saying, "Time for red state AGs and DAs to get busy." These are Republican Congress members who are technically your colleagues doing the exact opposite of law and order right now. What's your reaction to that, Congressman?
Well, look, if Marjorie doesn't want to stay in Congress, I don't want to start something, but she can leave. She doesn't have to be there. If she's not happy or proud of the country, if she wants to hang the American flag upside down, you don't have to serve in Congress, Marjorie. You could go back to Georgia, right, and do more workout videos and post those all day. You don't have to represent the American people in the people's house. And so, look, Ben, we're going to see a lot of this over the next couple of days, weeks, months. Their mentality, of course, and this is what they've learned from Trump, is that if we're not always winning, then it's rigged or it's a fraud, right? If we win the election, then everything that night went swimmingly. If we lose the election, rigged, fraud. If he had won this case, he would stop saying rigged and fraud. If now that he lost, it's rigged and it's fraud, right? Trump's somebody who, if he played baseball and he got, up at the plate and he struck out 3 times in front of our eyes, would say rigged, fraud. But if he had hit a home run, it would have been everything would have been perfect. And this is just how they govern themselves now. When it goes their way, it's perfect, everything's great. And when it doesn't go their way, it's tear down the institution, tear down the country, tear down the norms that have kept this republic going, and is what makes us the greatest country in the world, is that we do have a constitution, we do have law and order, and no matter who you are, that's going to be applied equally by a jury of your peers.
Congressman, it's Anthony Davis here. I was just interested to know, within Congress, is there any planning or thought for how Donald Trump would react if he was to lose the election in November? Because obviously last time around, everybody was taken a little bit by surprise. And then obviously January 6th was something that we hope we never see again. But there is a lot of talk, especially in the right wing, of January 6th last time being a rehearsal. And this time round, it'll be potentially bigger if it needs to happen again. Because off the back of this verdict today, it's not going to change his story. He's not going to go quietly. He's not going to kind of disappear into the sunset. If anything, he's going to ramp up the energy, the negative energy surrounding his effective hate towards authority.
No, I actually think that's 100% correct. January 6th, they can call it, a rehearsal, a dress rehearsal. A lot of people were wearing all sorts of things. But I think you're exactly right. I think we're in uncharted territory. I think anyone out there who says they know exactly what this is going to mean, right, is just fibbing and guessing. Nobody really knows what this is going to mean. And we won't know that for a couple of weeks, right, until the American people digest this. We might not know that until we get to the sentencing phase and the American people can digest that. And so right now, right, we have a former president who's been indicted. He is absolutely going to go to the only place he knows, right? He's a one-trick pony. He's got only one thing in that hat that he's going to pull out, and that is going to be hate and division. It's going to be, rigged, Biden, fraud, the judge, right? And what I think he's going to do is he's going to turn to his people and he's going to turn to the American public and he's going to say, it's all about November 5th. If you don't want me to go to jail, you got to vote on November 5th. If you don't want me to go to jail, you got to donate on November 5th. If you want to stop what they're doing to me, you got to do this and you got to do that. There is no doubt that that's where he's going to go. But we have a presidential debate scheduled in less than a month. I mean, is that going to happen now? Is the Biden campaign going to debate a convicted felon? Is Trump going to go? Right? Is he going to pull out? It's super unclear. I think we're headed, but yeah, they're going to division. They're not good. They're not asking for calm. They're not law and order. They're not respect the legal system. They're none of that. It's going to be all sorts of. And I imagine when I get back to the House, there's going to be resolutions, and defund this and defund that. All of it for show. It's all nonsense because the Senate's not going to take any of that stuff. But yeah, this is now obviously going to take over the entire conversation over the next couple of weeks and months.
Congressman, here's what you posted moments ago, or about 47 minutes ago to be exact, on your social media. You reposted all of the times that Donald Trump said law and order, 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 law and order. I haven't counted if it was 34 times, like the amount of times he was just found criminally liable for. But why'd you post that?
Well, I'm using his words, right? They always used to say there's a Trump tweet for that. And in this instance, there's a Trump tweet for that, right? This is a guy who has built a lot of his campaign on the slogan, law and order, law and order, law and order. Well, okay, today was a day of law and order. And if you believe in law and order, then you have to believe in today's verdict. He'll get his chance to appeal just like anybody else would get their chance to appeal, and we'll go through that. We'll go through that process. But again, this goes back to right now, the MAGA wing of the Republican Party only believes in law and order if we win. If we lose, then we don't believe in law and order. We believe in these things if it helps us, but if it doesn't help us, we don't believe in these things. And so, I'm just using Trump's words to show that today was about law and order. He was not above the law. And a jury of his peers, 12 Americans who sat there and listened to the evidence, decided he was guilty on all charges.
Finally, you mentioned the debates. I've always thought there's zero chance that Donald Trump debates. He was the one who pulled out at one of the debates in 2020 after losing two of the other debates. One, he showed up with COVID and concealed that. I always thought it was a ruse when Donald Trump said he was going to debate the same way he always claims he's going to testify and never does. Would love to hear your prediction. I don't see it. I've never seen it. I think he'll come up with some excuse. He's already saying, oh, we need a drug test President Biden before. I just think the guy, no matter what, in addition to being a convicted felon, is also scared. I think he's a scared man, deep, not even deep down, kind of like right up here, kind of on the surface, which is obvious to see. But what do you think, Congressmember, before you go?
No, I think that's right. And I think that goes back to the previous question. Like, what are we going to expect? What are Republicans going to do? Donald Trump is scared, right? Let's not pretend he's the tough guy, right? This is the guy who was asking the Secret Service to get rid of rubber chickens, okay, because it upset him. And so, no, he is scared. And that's why, again, I think we're really in uncharted territory. I don't think we know where this is going to go. I don't know if Trump is going to show up. I don't know if he's going to debate or he's not going to debate. We have no idea where this all goes. And don't get me wrong, we're going to spend hours guessing and pontificating, until we get there. And then obviously the Biden campaign will have to decide what they want to do. I mean, we now have, for the first time in American history, like we had when he was impeached twice, that no other president had ever been impeached twice. We had never had a president that had been indicted this many times. And now we have a president that has been found guilty of a felony on 34 counts. So we've never been here before. But I do think that, as an American, that we have to look at this moment and we have to take a deep breath and we have to figure out as a country how we're going to get through this. Obviously, everything is in the eyes of the election, and everything is eyes on the, divisive nature of the politics and echo chambers that we live in. And we're going to have to deal with that over the next 6 months. But, the November election will be the most consequential election of your lifetime. I know we've said that 3 or 4 times, and maybe we were the boy who cried wolf. It clearly is the case this time around. There's just absolutely no doubt about it. And again, if Donald Trump were to win in November, we were already talking about the things that he might do. Just wait. You're going to hear the things that he's now going to talk about doing over the next 4 or 5 months. He's going to talk about that anger. We're going to hear about all these grandiose plans. It's now worse now. It will now be worse than we even thought it could be if he were to become president. I'm in Florida. The National Hurricane Center predicted that it was going to be a stormy summer.
Well, a stormy summer indeed, a very stormy summer, and I have other turns of phrases, but we'll keep this.
My staff makes me keep most of that stuff in drafts.
Well, I'll keep what I'm about to say in a mental draft as well. Congressmember Jared Moskowitz, thank you for joining us. And I also want to give a shout out to Congressmember Jared Moskowitz. Has a great YouTube channel where he brings the message directly to the people. And I love that you are taking that message to the people through that YouTube channel. So everyone should subscribe there as well. Congressmember Moskowitz, thanks as always.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.